I've helped multiple people move from the Bay Area. In fact, two of my last clients, both one moved out here, then referred their friend. They were both attorneys and they couldn't afford to buy in the Bay. So, should you move from the Bay Area to Sacramento? That's a question I get often, and that's really entirely up to you. But if you're watching this video, you probably ask yourself some hard questions about what you actually want life to look like living in California. I mean, maybe you're tired of spending half your income on rent, or even considering like the daunting payment that would come with buying a home in the Bay Area, or maybe you just want more space, a bigger yard, different things in life, or just curious about what else is out there. So today we're looking at greater Sacramento area, Sacramento, Placer, and El Dorado counties as a real alternative to living in the Bay Area. We'll cover housing costs, lifestyle differences, job markets, commute realities, and I'll show you what people love about making this move and also what they miss about leaving. The choice is yours to make. I'm just here to give you the information to make that wisely. Hey, what's going on? Jake DeRosa here with the DeRosa Real Estate team. As a resident here of 49 years, almost 50 in February, and a broker for 23, we've helped so many people move in and out of the area, buy a house, sell a house. So we are glad you're here to get information. If you like the content we're bringing you, please drop us a like, throw us a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. We bring weekly content. And if you have questions or have comments, just drop them in the chat below. We love interacting. And finally, we do have a free 99 information guide. The link's below. Drop us, sign up, download it. And if you have questions, shoot me a text, 916-402-5786. With all that said, let's jump into today's topic. All right, so let's get real about what's happening right now in 2025. You probably heard all the stories about the big Bay Area exodus during the pandemic. Well, here's the thing, that massive wave has calmed down, but people are still making the move out here. I mean, Sacramento, we hit about 2.27 million people in 2025 with a 1.2% growth year over year. And while the Bay Area has actually stabilized and is growing again, Sacramento keeps attracting their residents. So let's talk about what's different now compared to the exodus. One of the biggest things that's huge is the panic buying is over. I need to buy a house right now, buy it unseen, all those things, escape, whatever that is, has settled into more thoughtful decision making, which is huge. People aren't fleeing anymore or making impulse buys. They're actually choosing, which is a big deal. It allows folks like someone considering moving here to visit, explore the neighborhoods, and make more informed decisions instead of panic moves. And really, I think that makes for such a better outcome. In fact, National Association of Realtors did a study of people who bought during that time period and were forced to make really quick impulse decisions. And over 70% of them weren't happy with the house they bought. So such a good thing that's happening. Now, the other thing about it though is the affordability gap hasn't closed. If anything, it just gives people a chance to see what their money can actually buy them here. All right, so when we say greater Sacramento area, we're talking about 3 distinct counties, each with their own personality and lifestyle. So you got Sac County. Now, Sac County is very diverse. It's going to be from, Sacramento to the bridge there, the Yolo Causeway, all the way out to Folsom, a little bit north up to Natomas, all the way south to Elk Grove. So there's very different areas within there. If you're looking, it's kind of like urban meets suburban. It's a large area. Now, if you're looking in Midtown and you're looking for that urban feel, that's probably going to be your main choice. It's home to the Capitol. You've got walkable neighborhoods. You're down in the walkable art scene. They've got Second Saturday events, some cool events. I used to live down there myself, rode a bicycle all over the place. So that's going to be more of your walkable, more urban feel. And then as you spread out, you're going to start getting into suburbs. Now, if you get into Placer County, I would say that's your family favorite. Think Roseville shopping, great school districts, great dining. You got newer developments in Rockland and West Roseville, a lot of new developments going in there, planned communities. And if you want luxury, you've got Granite Bay, which has luxury homes, Los Lagos, Shelburne, just really depends on what you're looking for. And then you shoot up into El Dorado County, which starts in El Dorado Hills, which is a very upscale community, and you go all the way up to Tahoe. So it's kind of your adventure area, I would say, more mountainy, more foothills, pine trees as you get into Colfax, more foresty as you go up the 50s. So a lot of options, a lot of different communities within each county and different lifestyles. So depending on what you're looking for, it could be a massive upgrade to your lifestyle if you're into certain things. So with that being said, you got to choose wisely, right? So, and if speaking of choosing wisely, make sure you download our informational guide or drop me a text with questions. Again, that's 916-402-5786. But let's actually get into the specifics about what your money actually buys you out here. So let's talk first through like the Bay Area. So San Francisco median price is about 1.3 million. Now that's median. So depending on area, depending on type of home, I mean, that could get you a 2-bed condo with maybe some parking and no yard. You jump over to Palo Alto, 2.5 million gets you a bed, 3-bedroom house, tiny yard. So fairly expensive and higher price points. Now you come into Roseville, a 645,000 up to probably 750 will get you, depending on your property, will get you a 4-bedroom, 2 to 3 baths, 2-car garage with a nice size yard. So you got really great options out there. You jump into Folsom, you're looking at 750,000 for homes that 4-bedroom, 2 to 3 baths, nice size yard. In fact, I just showed a property at 840,000 in one of the most desirable areas by the golf course with a swimming pool, 4-bedroom, 2,600 square feet. And you compare that to what you could get out in the Bay Area, it's a massive difference. As you jump into, say, El Dorado Hills, now you're kind of into the luxury living, if you would, hill views, city views, top-rated schools. Roseville, Folsom, El Dorado, really great school districts. Rockland's great school districts. And then you also have different suburbs around the area. You've got places that are going to be more of an affordable option. You've got Citrus Heights. You can get a cool house for mid 500s, 3, maybe 4 bedrooms, nice size yards. You get in that Citrus Heights, Carmichael, Fair Oaks. You got bigger lots. So a lot of different options. It just really depends on what you're looking for and what that looks like for you. So here's kind of what's happening right now in the 2025 in the Sacramento area. So inventory across the board in the counties are up about 35 to 45% year over year. So reason for it is obviously affordability. We've had higher interest rates, but then also too, we got our market had got handcuffed with that low 2.5–3% rate where people were just like, we're not going to sell, we're not going to transition for a good 2 to 3 years. What's now happened is life things are happening. Babies are being born, different things are happening where people are now having to give up that rate. So you're starting to see more inventory come to the surface. In addition, there's so much uncertainty in the world. It's kind of tapped the buyers back a little bit along with interest rates. So we're having higher inventory. Homes are taking longer to sell. They're 29 days on average. And what's interesting too is across the board in each of our counties, 61 to 71% of homes are selling below asking price. So good opportunity for buyers, and interest rates are stabilizing around 6.5%. You can see that the market has cooled quite a bit, and a lot of that below asking too is coming from sellers not necessarily being super realistic for what they're looking for, maybe going off old market data and wanting the highest amount. In this market, you've got to be priced well in great condition because there's more choices. What it means for buyers is more negotiating power. For sellers, we just have to make sure that we're pricing it right. So the whole moral of this last few minutes is there's a lot of opportunity out this way, and you get a lot more for your money. So let's talk about the lifestyle now. Bay Area, depending on the Bay Area, the San Francisco, I mean, it's going to be urban, things like that. But really out here, it's about upgrading your entire life. So space and freedom. I mean, you got actual yards. You have bigger yards. You get a garage that fits cars and not just storage. You have room to breathe. You have room to grow and live. Now, the other cool part about this out in our area is you've got a lot of outdoor recreation. So you got Folsom Lake amongst numerous other lakes. I love to fish, so there's plenty of fishing and plenty of lakes that you can go out and camp. You can go out Slide Park. You can go to different areas and have plenty of recreation out here depending on what you like. We have the American River Bike Trail, which is one of the top trails in the area, in the region, and potentially even in the state. So it's 32 miles of trails and bikes, great for walking. I walk my dog down to the bike trail all the time, and we walk it. There's bicyclists. It's a cool scene. And then you have the Sierra Nevada. So you got Lake Tahoe, you got Kirkwood, you got Boreal. I mean, there's so many different options. You can go skiing, camping, and it's year-round recreation. So winters, you got skiing, camping, snowmobiling, things like that. Summer and spring, you got really awesome trails. You've got hiking, and I mean, it's just endless. You got the lake. So a lot of cool things. Plus, I mean, you're pretty much an hour and a half, 2 hours, well, depending on traffic, you're not too far from being back into the Bay Area. So another thing that changes when you come out here is a lot of times you actually know your neighbors here, right? I know that in the Bay Area, a lot of people stay to themselves, especially in the heavily dense populated areas. Kids out riding bikes in communities. They've got community pools, community setups, local festivals, and a lot of the areas have these small town feels with big city convenience. So a lot of old Fair Oaks, old Roseville, old Folsom, where they have farmers markets. It's just a community real cool vibe out there. So you get that feel, but you also get convenience of being close to a bit of everything, right? So speaking of convenience, if you want to download our information guide, download it below, click on the link, or let us do the work for you. Shoot me a text, 916-402-5786. Happy to send you all the information you want, different areas, connect with you. You can drop me an email. That's all below as well. And with that being said, let's jump into a reality check. So from a lifestyle perspective, the Bay Area definitely has an incredible multicultural scene that's hard to replicate. So you may miss that. Urban energy out in the Bay is definitely unique. You know, there's going to be not a whole lot of walking to world-class museums on a Tuesday night like you could in the city. So you have a lot of, if you don't like cars, I don't know, might not be the best place unless you live in Midtown. A lot of walkability there. The food scene, Sacramento's food scene is growing super fast, and it's a top-rated farm to fork, but there's not as many Michelin-starred restaurants that San Francisco is going to provide, right? So might see a little difference there. If you got to do networking for, say, your career, obviously take that into consideration. And probably one of the bigger changes out here too is you get a bit hot, not a bit, you get a lot hotter depending on the summer. This summer's been pretty darn mild, so last summer you had quite a bit of 100+ days that were pretty brutal, but you don't get any more Bay Area microclimates. I've helped a lot of people move from the Bay out here, and that's one thing they had to get used to, but hey, a lot of them did, so not a huge deal. For some, for others, bigger deal. Now here is, let's jump into the work and commute here. So if you can actually work remotely, this becomes an easier decision. I mean, you get your Bay Area salary, you enjoy the greater Sacramento area costs, and it's literally an instant 40 to 50% lifestyle upgrade. Now, if you have to commute, if you have to go in, I know plenty of people who do it. Some use the Capital Corridor train. It's about a 2.5 hour commute, and they've got multiple trains daily, Wi-Fi, bike racks, and it's like $30 to $75 round trip depending on destination. It also connects to the BART at Richmond and Oakland, so you get no driving stress, no parking fees, and it's not a bad option 2 to 3 days a week maybe, or for a hybrid arrangement. The cool thing is I actually like traveling trains because even though you spend the time in it, you're productive because you don't have to worry about driving. You don't have the stress of traffic. The other route is driving. Obviously, that's going to be a crapshoot when it comes to is there accidents, what the commute looks like. So it does get pretty heavy out that way, and just different choices. So, but as far as what's happening out in our area, I mean, the job market has been growing really steadily, and in some areas, it might actually surprise you. So, looking at from a job perspective, healthcare is growing quickly. Kaiser Permanente, Sutter Health, UC Davis are all doing major facility expansions in most of their places. You've got new hospitals being built in the rail yards. You've got new hospitals being built in the Folsom Ranch. So that's a pretty quickly expanding opportunity. And when we talk through that, I mean, it's talking thousands of new jobs. And it's not just doctors. There's everything from nursing to biotech. And really, biotech is expanding huge too. Our region now has over 100 biotech companies, and you still have the tech, right? You've got Intel, which is a big employer in Folsom, Oracle, Rockland. You've got cybersecurity coming up, agri-food tech coming up, and clean tech. And probably a big one of our busiest, most expanding industries is construction. It's been super busy in all of our Placer, El Dorado County and Sac County areas. You got new housing developments, commercial projects, and there's actually a shortage of skilled construction workers, which means good opportunities if that's your field. I was actually talking to my nephew the other day, and he's a journeyman electrician. I'm like, buddy, if you really get good at that, do a good job for people, you can make a significant living. And it's just a growing field across the country. Different companies, there's also like companies that are building ADUs. You got Savant Solutions, cybersecurity. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities job-wise out here. So now here's the reality of it. You'll probably earn less than peak Bay Area salaries, but when your housing costs and your cost of living drop by 50 to 60%, your take home and purchasing power, obviously tends to go up. So it's not going to be, your Silicon Valley job opportunities, but it's diverse. It's pretty stable, especially when you put in the state of California. There are opportunities for jobs, and it can be more consistent there too. So let's jump into the county by county deep dive and get specific about where you should actually move. So it's really going to depend on the lifestyle you want to achieve. When I talk through that, Sacramento County, it is the median home price is about $500,000. It hovers in that $500,000 range, and it depends on the area. Obviously, cheaper homes are going to be in the different neighborhoods. Based on crime and schools, they may not be as good as different areas, but you got the Sacramento County, which has opportunities, better affordability than the Bay Area. I mean, if you want walkable art districts, restaurants, young professionals, you're looking at Midtown. Lamb Park, you got historic homes, family-friendly, tree-lined streets. Natomas, you're talking newer developments, good value, family-focused. East Sac, you got the historic charm. Folsom in Sac County, that's family oriented, great school districts, probably newer homes out that way. So depending on what you're looking for. And then you have in between Folsom and Midtown, you've got, Rancho Cordova, that's a family type of neighborhood, families there. You've got Carmichael, you've got Fair Oaks, just a lot of different options to choose from. You've got Antelope, you've got Citrus Heights, and there's so many little suburbs in between. It's kind of sometimes hard to keep track of, which is why you should reach out to us if you have questions. So Placer County, median home price $675 to $750. Vibe out there is family. They have, according to niche.com and all those different places, do your research. They have excellent schools, safe communities as far as crime rates goes. You got Roseville, there's shopping, dining, community events. Rockland and West Roseville, you're gonna have newer construction, tech jobs, family amenities. Obviously, we talked about upscale, Granite Bay. Lincoln is a growing community, and it's a little bit further farther north, but it is up and coming for sure. A lot of newer homes out that way. If you want to get in the foothills, you got Auburn, cool place. You've got, as you start moving up that 80 though, you start getting into looking at fire insurance becomes a big consideration. Same with El Dorado County, because you start getting into the more heavily forested, more trees, fire, what they would consider fire danger type things. So you start getting into those. El Dorado County, cool area. Median home price in all of El Dorado County about 726, 700. Now that doesn't mean that El Dorado Hills is that price point. Those are typically going to be a bit higher. You got outdoor lifestyle, mountain proximity is what you're seeing there, with some luxury options. Obviously El Dorado Hills, luxury living, especially if you get into Serrano, you've got views, top schools, things like that. You move up the 50 a little bit, you got Cameron Park, family friendly, good value. Love their community feel. It's like a town within a city. It's insane. I've sold several homes up in that Cameron Park area. And then you move up the hill, you got Placerville, more affordable. It seems the further you get into the sticks, the less the price, but then the further you're away from different things, right? Really start hitting into that wine country as well, which Amador, and it's an up and coming wine area in that neighborhood. So with that being said, it really just depends on what you want your situation to look like. And here's where I want to talk about what's it look like financially when you look at a budget comparison. The biggest piece of moving from the Bay to the Sacramento is going to be your housing costs. Bay Area can run $3,000 to $4,000 a month. But for rents out here, it's $2,000 to $3,000, right? So you save money there if that's something you're moving out there. Childcare seems to run, from surveys online I've seen, it seems to run about $1,000 to double the amount childcare is out here. Obviously, transportation, depending on where you live, is going to cost differently. If you're super urban, Bay Area obviously is going to less transportation costs. Food's probably more expensive out there. So when you move out into this area where housing is a lot less to buy a house, or if you choose to come out here to rent, childcare, things like that, food, utilities seem to be cheaper, you start seeing significant savings, sometimes 50 to 60%. So that's why you see a lot of people moving out this way. A lot of times for what you want to rent out there, you can probably buy something out here. And when you do that, you start taking advantage of home ownership, right? 5% annual appreciation over the last 30 years, 5 to 8. And so does it make sense? Is it worth it? Well, here's my assessment. And the reality is, it always is if it makes sense for you. My opinion is definitely not going to sway yours. I just want to give you information to make a good decision. And as always, you can reach out, give me a shout to make that decision. I've done plenty of Zooms. I've done plenty of coffee meets with people. And then we went and drove the area and I just educated them on the area. But you should definitely consider it if your housing costs out there stress you out. If you can work remotely or hybrid, good opportunity. If you want space and places and space for your family to grow, definitely another thing. And if you like outdoor recreation and community, this area definitely has those things. Now, if you don't want to endure heat, probably not the best place. If your career requires Bay Area networking or for you to be there all the time, that's something to think about as well. And if you don't like to drive and need walkable transit or walkability, probably the suburban sprawl out here is not going to be the best for you. My recommendation as far as a game plan is test drive things first. The cool part about it is you're in a market right now where you have the ability to do so. So when 2020 and 2021, where you couldn't be out, you couldn't drive from the Bay out here before the house was sold, that it wasn't the case, but now you have it. So you can come out here, give us a call. Happy to meet up with you, talk about areas. 916-402-5786. Happy to educate you, share information. Let us do the heavy lifting for you, but meet with someone, meet with friends out here, drive areas, maybe potentially rent for a couple months if that's what you need to do. But take a look and consider your options, right? Other thing is make sure you have someone that can help you, because you need to match up your lifestyle priorities. So make sure you're getting into the place that is going to be the best decision. So you want to choose wisely. Budget for the transition, factor in moving costs, lifestyle changes. I like to do a plus and minus, like a T, like, hey, here's the pros, here's the cons. And then as far as the market itself goes, there is never really timing the market. I'm a big proponent of you make the move when the move makes sense. And so if the current conditions right now do favor buyers, so something to look at. And a lot of times this move is really a game changer. I've helped multiple people move from the Bay Area. In fact, two of my last clients, one moved out here, then referred their friend. They were both attorneys and they couldn't afford to buy in the Bay. I mean, an attorney's a fairly high paying job and they could work from out here. So they moved out here. They loved mid-century modern homes, which we found them the cutest homes out here. So definitely a different lifestyle, definitely different costs. And at the end of the day, it is always what makes sense for you. To me, it seems like smarter money choice. If you want to explore it further, drop your biggest questions in the comments below. If you're thinking about a specific area, let me know and I'll create content around it. I'll send you information. And if you want more information, download our relocation or information guide of the area. It's got neighborhood breakdowns, school rate ratings, and different job opportunities. So I hope you enjoyed this information and join us next week for some more information about the area. Cheers. Have a great day.